Hi, this is Colette from the Collective.
And I'm Catherine with Synchronicity Energy Healing.
We're so happy to be here with you today. We got an exciting topic to talk about.
Yes, we're so excited. We're going to talk about spiritual awakenings and what they actually are. With
Not the bullshit that people try to tell you.
not the love, light, and peace fluffed up version.
Yeah. As you see all the sage going to my face, like I know exactly what we're talking about today.
Yeah,
Like I haven't been through all of, well, not all of it. You're never done, but you know what I mean.
we've been through a lot of it.
Yes, we sure have. Um, so the actual title of it's going to be a series. First of all, we want to say that because there's
Yeah.
so much in this topic, and we've been trying to we're like, let's talk about this, let's talk about that, but it's like all tying into like basically that's what we're doing is we're talking about our spiritual awakening a lot of times. So we just thought we would come up with this great topic, and it's called "Currently Rebranding My Entire Existence" series.
I love it.
I love it. I love it too. We both love it. And today, we're going to talk about a few things that to start, like kind of more, I feel like towards the beginning of your spiritual awakening, right, Catherine? Do you
Yeah,
agree?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, the first one is feeling disconnected from friends, careers, and or lifestyles. The second one is questioning family expectations and values. The third one is feeling lonely and that no one gets it. Um, and the final one is confusion between intuition and ego. I think everybody for sure has been there in their
Yeah,
spiritual journey because you're all ego when you're not going through your, well, I shouldn't say all, but you tend to be more on the ego side when you're not going through your
for
spiritual
sure.
journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree.
Okay, well, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about feeling disconnected from friends, careers, and or lifestyles. I can go first if you want, Catherine, because I got a story for you, even though
Sure.
you've already heard it. So it's really for all of you.
Let's hear it again. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So when I started my spiritual journey, well, I sometimes I go back and forth, 2017, 2018. It was more 2018 though. I hit my low point in 2017, which created this like, okay, we gotta do something else because this is I don't like the way this feels. And uh in 2019, I think, yeah, shit hit the fan. Literal reverse tower moment, the worst ever of my life. I would not recommend for anybody. If you ever get a tower card, listen to the tower card and let it just fall. Just we're gonna let it fall. Otherwise, it's just like it just all of a sudden crumbles everything. Like it's not one brick here, one brick here. It's like just fell to the ground.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing. Um, but so I ended up, I'm not going to get into the whole story, but I ended up in 2019 and 2020 losing a husband, like getting a divorce. My ex mother-in-law, she was a friend, actually, um, like a friend to me. And the person that I was in an emotional affair with. That's so weird to say out loud. I was like trying to get it out, but it's not that I haven't talked about it before, but it just feels more raw here in this space with what we're talking about. So bear with me, folks. Um, and then I lost my friend of like she was part of this whole thing. I lost my friend that I had from middle school
Hmm.
as well. And then I left my job of 11 years, six things at one time. Okay. And that's friends, careers, lifestyle. Like I moved, I went to a different city, like completely different vibe. And like I said, my ex-husband, my person, gone. Like we split, and we can blame me, but it goes both ways. That part doesn't matter. Um, and yeah, so that fits right in to numero uno. Like
Yeah.
it just, I disconnected from everything. And I didn't really give myself a chance to process it. So if you have a similar experience, I recommend that you um, don't avoid it and try to push through because that's what I did at the time and it's catching up to me now. So here we are.
Well, you're working through it well now. So,
I am. Yeah. No, I'm in a good spot, but I'm just saying that it's a lot of changes at one time when you experience this because Catherine and I were talking about this before we got on here that usually it's not just one thing, it's multiple things that
yeah.
happen because you don't fit in with that story anymore. That's
Right.
how I would put it. So you just have to, like, it has to get moved away from you. And it was literally like a divine intervention. That's what I would call that. God was like, hell no, we're not staying around these people. Like,
Yeah.
they're not for you. Bye. And then I was
I
like, okay,
I feel like
okay,
it
but
happens so suddenly too. Like before you know it, like everything's just falling apart. And if you're new to an awakening, it's very like earth-shattering because like everything's falling apart and you don't know why. And in the moment, I don't feel like you really realize that's what's happening right away. It kind of like takes some time, a little bit, some signs and synchronicities to show you like what's happening. So,
that it's actually
like,
in your highest good. Like it's not like God's punishing you. Like that's
right.
literally what I thought. And then I was like, okay, I was really wrong on that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say something and I forget.
You have a story to tell, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, not as intense as yours. So mine wasn't like,
That doesn't matter.
yeah. So I think mine, looking back, was a little bit more spread out because Nick and I moved to Tennessee, um, 2017, maybe 2016. I think it was 2016, give or take, something around there. And so we kind of like moved away from everybody and started over, and we just didn't have anybody. We got married in 2018, and then the end of 2018, and then had our first child in 2020. And that's like when everything hit the fan for me. Like that's 100% where my spiritual awakening started. Because before I got pregnant, I was like, oh yeah, like we'll just put the kid in daycare and everybody does it. Like I'll be fine at work, I'll do my thing. And that's just the opposite of what it was. Like we struggled to put Elliot into daycare. We figured it out, whatever. But it was also in the middle of a pandemic with a newborn. We had no support. When I tell you the isolation was real, uh, and it was like very much the catalyst for me to like find myself again. Like Nick was going through his own stuff at the time, and so he did his best to be mentally present, but like it was hard for him. Um, but I very much started, I guess my postpartum depression is what did it because I really struggled with postpartum depression. And I was in denial about it until like 8 months in, my friend was like, Catherine, you should really go get help. Like, it's okay to see a therapist. And I'm like, fine. Okay. So I did. I saw a therapist. I did like 5 sessions with her. And then another friend had introduced me and was like, hey, you should check out this girl. She does esoteric energy healing. And so I was like, at this point, anything to make me feel better because I feel absolutely miserable. Um, because I think what did it for me, like the tower moment for that for me was all of my abandonment stuff. Like I have had, I'm gonna say had because I worked through a lot of it, but had severe abandonment issues that, you know, came out as like hyper independence. And to this day, I still struggle to ask for help. I'm getting better at it, but um, I very much had to like start taking care of myself, because I couldn't do it all. Working the demanding job that I was working, having a newborn, and then Nick also traveled for work a little bit, and so like I couldn't do it all myself. So anyways, that kind of pushed me into taking care of myself, and so I did some energy
Hold on one
healing.
second.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you were also carrying the emotional weight for Nick, right? On
Yep.
top of all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, to be raw about it, um, we were in the middle of a pandemic. I went back to work as an essential worker. And so I like work just in general was different for everybody at that point in time. I was dealing with my own postpartum stuff. I had three managers that worked for me that um, attempted suicide. And one of
What?
them was, yes, and one of them was successful in it, which I was no longer his manager at that time when he did that, but like he at one point was one of my managers. So yeah, like so dealing with all of that and then also with my husband's mental health in addition to that, while trying to take care of a very colicky newborn. It was hard. It was a lot. It was a very extremely dark time for me. And so when I tell you that I was desperate for anything to make me feel better, that's how I got into energy healing. I reached out to the girl, her name is Brittany. She's a wonderful human being. But she ultimately like helped change my life at that point. And I ended up doing a mentorship with her that helped me even more along my spiritual journey that kind of like opened my eyes more to like energy healing and then my gifts. Um, and then from there, like it kind of just blossomed. So, like, I isolated myself by my own free will by moving to Tennessee, and then a pandemic isolated us even more. Um, and so I don't know that I could have been isolated anymore to be thrown into a spiritual awakening, quite frankly. So,
Well, and how many people probably started their spiritual awakening during COVID? Let's be honest.
oh, I'm sure a lot of people. So, yeah, I I don't know. And I know a lot of moms and like I had wonderful mentors. I'm creating the mentorship for moms in spiritual awakenings because of that. Because I found when I was starting mine, again, I had wonderful women that Spirit gave to me to help me through that. But the thing that was missing was that they weren't moms. And so they did the best that they could, but there was a level of misunderstanding um, that even before I was a mom didn't understand was a misunderstanding until you become a mom. And I know that kind of sounds a little cliche, but people that are moms, like it's just different, like there's a whole new understanding that goes into it. And so a lot of times in those meetings, I had to have somebody watch the baby so that I could be fully present and still and understanding of like whatever is happening, which yes is ideal, but for moms, that's not always a possible thing. So which I'm getting like giving spoiler alerts here, but um but that's like one of the main things that I wanted for my mentorship is that like it was a space that yes, ideally if you can, please come alone so you can be present. But if you have to have your kiddo with you, that's fine also. Like it's not your presence on my mentorship isn't dependent on whether you have a child care or not. Because that like that's just one of those little things that like as moms it's hard for us to stop because oh no, I'm having a spiritual awakening. Like we can't We can't. So you have to like find a way to mesh the two of it. But I think I digressed from the whole topic. But there's a spoiler for my mentorship that's soon coming up.
No, that's fair. I mean, I'm not a mom and I would never think of that, right? But, being your friend and how many times we've had, either sessions or phone conversations as friends, and you're like, I'm sorry. And I always say, stop. Like, I
Yeah,
understand you've got your kids there. Like, it's not, you know, it's the whole package. If I'm going to get Catherine, I know I've got your kids too when
yeah,
I'm talking to you, and that's totally fine. Like, I just want to talk to you, and that's what that's about. So I'm glad you shared that. For me, it's not something I ever think about because I don't have kids.
right.
So thank you for making me aware of that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I mean, I wouldn't care if someone came to a reading with their kid. I mean, they're going to get what they can get out of it. Like, they got to
Right.
understand that if they've got a distraction, I mean, I'm going to do the best I can. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
I would not turn somebody down because they had a child with
right.
them. You know what I mean? Like, if they want their kid to listen, then I got to be a little more careful with the swear words. But,
Right. Yeah, a little bit. So
so. Okay, well, I think we did that subject well, and that's. Do you have anything else to say, or?
just, the isolation is normal and the tower moments are normal. And the least you can fight it, the easier it will go. Like it's gonna happen whether you fight it tooth or nail or not. So just don't. I promise you it's so much easier if you just like let it flow. Like spirit will give you the people and the tools and the resources that you need to get through whatever tower moment. And if you just trust the process, it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be stressful. Um, you're gonna get through it a lot easier if you just let it flow.
Yeah,
So,
you don't fight it. Absolutely, I agree. And I feel like, and you can share your input here, Catherine, but I feel like the more you get along your spiritual journey, the less tower moments you have, the less like you have less time with the tower moment or
yeah,
the thing you're working through. Like, you get through things a lot quicker, you transmute a lot quicker. But yeah, tower moments, you'll have them still because it's life, but it's not going to be like fix things at one time, like I was saying, for me at the
yeah.
beginning of mine. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I mean, the beginning's always going to be rough because you're like really shedding everything that like made you who you are up to this point, right? Like, Spirit is saying, this is no longer serving you. I'm taking this away so I can give you what is coming in. And I guess this is where like I don't know. We've talked about it before, but like some people call it toxic positivity, but like you just trust that like whatever it's for something better. It's something better. Something better is coming. Like you don't know what it is, but you just know that it like even if you don't know, like if you just cling to that toxic positivity, right? I'm gonna call it delusional positivity because that's what gets you through the process, quite frankly. Like there's a reality of knowing this is all falling apart, this is why it's happening. I understand that, but then the positivity comes in knowing, okay, well, I have to let that go, so what truly I want comes in. Um, and so there's there's a difference. It's not like you're just walking around always like rainbows and sunshine as like your house is burning down, figuratively, hopefully not like really burning down. But um so yeah.
Well, I think toxic positivity, people mistake that for what you're saying. And really, toxic positivity to me is like when you're pretending that something is good and okay when it's not.
Yeah.
That's when you hit that tower moment. Like, you're like, oh, well, Joe is amazing. When deep down, you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't feel right to me. You're in your ego and you're like telling everybody, oh, it's great, but
It's
it's
not.
not. And you know it too. So, that's what I look at toxic positivity as. What you're saying is just like a knowledge of, okay, when something leaves me, like when I, lose those people or that job or that lifestyle, I know something else is on the horizon. It's totally okay. And I know Catherine's not saying this. It's totally okay to have her moments and be really upset
Yeah.
because it's hard losing something for all of us because then you've got the unknown on the other side and we don't like change. It's human. So, you know, totally have your moments, right? But what she's saying is holding on to hope and knowing and faith and knowing that things are going to work out for you.
Absolutely. And please work through the stuff. Don't just like push it aside because you know that better things are coming because that's not going to help you either. Like
Yep.
you have to face those feelings. You have to face the things that come up during that because if you don't do it then, it's going to keep coming up until you do. So just get it out of the way. Just
Yep, just
do
do
it.
it. And that's exactly what I was saying about my experience. I didn't really process it. So, because it was so much at one time, I was just trying to be okay. You know what I mean? Like, I got to be okay. I got to move forward. I've got a lot of new things going on. It's a lot. I'm overwhelmed, those sort of things. So, yeah, exactly what she said, because then when you are years from it and you're like, why am I thinking about this or why am I having this dream? And you realize it's because you didn't process something when you were meant to process it. It's not that you're like, oh, I miss that person or I want to get back with them or whatever. It's just like, okay, I didn't deal with this. So now it's coming up for me to deal with. So yeah, 100% deal with it when you realize it. If you do it, like, that's the other thing too, Catherine, when you're, feeling disconnected from people or things or whatever, you're like, um, oh shoot, my brain just totally farted there. Oh my God, I was on a roll. Um,
Well, if you don't mind while you're thinking of that,
yeah, no, you
um,
go. Maybe I'm not meant to say it.
that isolation really forces you to go inward. And so if your stuff is falling apart and you're being isolated, instead of like focusing so much on I'm so alone, use that time to go in and work on yourself. Right? You can evaluate the relationships that you lost. You can evaluate the job that you lost or the home that you lost. Um, Evaluate like what you got out of it, what it taught you, and how maybe you've grown from that situation that is now falling away. And as you work through that, and some might say, I'm not quite ready to feel through this yet. I don't think that I'm ready. Well, first of all, if you weren't ready to do it, it wouldn't be in front of you to do it. However, if you don't feel like you're ready, okay, fine, give yourself some time. Know it's going to come back for you to deal with. It's not going to just go away willy-nilly. Like, and that's the thing, like there's no right or wrong way. So if you genuinely don't feel like you could do it right now in the moment when it's coming up for you, okay, fine, don't continue on with your journey and still focus on yourself and still like growing yourself and then address it when it comes back again. Um, but you can't just like keep pushing it away. Like at some point you're gonna have to face it. So I would really encourage you. Those isolation moments I find are typically those time frames where spirit's trying to pull you back in to do that self-reflection and have those realizations. I have ants on my wall.
Oh, okay. I was like, what are you looking at? Yeah, you don't really have a choice, is what Catherine is saying. I mean, it's gonna come up and you're gonna have to deal with it. So if you can get through it quick, or not quick, but at the time, that'd be the best bet. So is there anything else you wanted to add for this one?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah, and I can't remember what I was gonna say, so it don't matter. Okay, now we're gonna talk about questioning family expectations and values. Each. So the way I feel, Catherine, and you'll share what you think too, is that once you get through that little or big hump, I guess, of like removing people, places, things from your life that you're like, okay, this can't serve me going forward, or it comes crashing down or whatever, you start noticing other areas of your life and where um, things may not be as they seem or
Hmm.
have seemed in the past. So it naturally goes to your home life and your upbringing and your, parents and siblings and aunts, uncles, like whoever, like grandparents. You start kind of dissecting those pieces too, and kind of go, oh man, I never noticed this before. What do you think?
Yeah, it very much reflects into your family. And I think arguably because family, like your family is where you come from, right? Like that's where your identity starts from. It's easier to let go of the job, the friends, the other people. Like it's gonna hurt, right? But you tolerate it so much more from your family because they're your family, right? Oh, well, it's my mom, it's my dad. I can't like it's fine. I'll just tolerate it. It's my dad, it's my mom, whatever. So at some point though, you have to address it. You can't just like keep doing that. You can't cut everything else out that's toxic to you except for the family. It's going to come to the forefront. And um I think to some degree for some people family events, family actions, the way they treat you, the way they talk to you um becomes intolerable. Like you literally just can't tolerate it anymore. And it's one of those things where at least for me, it was kind of like a switch, right? So, with my dad, it's my dad. I couldn't like cut him off. I couldn't do that. I was always like um making excuses or like forgiving him or well, I know deep down he loves me. Like I can look at the situation with him and I can identify the way why he is the way that he is, right? Like I know he's got the trauma with his dad. His dad has visited me. He's dead, so for those that don't know, like I've spoken with my ghost grandfather, who very much takes accountability for that stuff, right? But like the damage is still done. And so while I can identify the things that my dad has said and done, um, there's no like growth there with him. There's no improvement. No matter how many times I've shared my side, how you've hurt me, the things that you have done. And at some point, it's like a switch that flips, and you're just like, I can't do it anymore. I'm done. Like, I'm not getting anywhere with you. I can't keep risking my peace and like, my wholeness to appease you anymore. So like you either fix yourself or I can't do it. And I remember the last time my dad came to me and said, "I don't know, you and your sister might have to live without me. My parents got divorced." He was struggling with um sharing families. And I think it came from a family like a child trauma for him because his parents divorced and he had to share families. Well, he didn't want to have to do that again, not realizing he's not the one sharing families. We are. And I told him, I said, you've already like cut me out before. I said, if you do it again, I promise you, like, there's no coming back. Like, you can't. I'm not gonna do it again. And he did it again, and here we are. So, um, and like I laugh about it and it's fine, but like the trauma is still there, right? Like I still wish that my kids knew who my dad was. Like I wish that he had like I think they both met him, but they were babies, and so they don't remember him. Um, but like I can't let them be around him, And so I wish that they could, I wish that they could know my dad and that my dad was in a well enough state that I could feel loved by him again. And so while that's still the case, I also know that I'm hell bent on not passing that trauma to my kids, first of all, but also protecting my peace. And so it's just not going to be a thing. And while at this point I can talk about it without crying, there was a point that I couldn't talk about it without crying. And so, you know, all of that to say, like, it's going to come to a point in your journey where, like, you're going to have to evaluate those relationships with your family and what you're willing and not willing to tolerate anymore. And if it's something that you can't have or shouldn't have in your life or surrounding your energy, it's going to get to a breaking point where you're going to have to figure out what that boundary it is. Not everybody needs to cut their parent off or their sibling or their family member, whoever it is, but there's definitely going to need to be like firm boundaries put in place to protect your peace and your energy on who you're becoming. So,
Yes, I agree. Um, yeah, and Catherine's, I'm glad you said that because it doesn't have to go to that extreme. In
right.
your case, it did have to go to that extreme, but, and not to say that everybody's going to have this problem either. I mean, I feel like it probably happens to a lot more people than it doesn't, though, based on, generational trauma. We haven't talked about that. I don't think maybe one day we'll talk about that. Basically what that means is like passed down values that were toxic, like the generational cycles that doesn't serve anybody. But it's really tough because it is your family, like Catherine said. So you get in this position where when you start realizing, you know, why you had these questions in your head as a child of like for me, I felt like an outcast, right? Um, so I was always asking that question why I felt that way. And then I realized, oh, I'm an introvert in a house. I was in an introvert in a house full of extroverts. I mean, duh, right? You're gonna feel kind of weird and an outcast. But like for me, when I started kind of like unraveling or going deep into the family piece, I feel like how it went for me was like acceptance, and then I set up boundaries, and then you ask yourself the question, what's next? Kind of like Catherine was saying, like, what is your next step? How much are you going to be in this person's life? Um, are things okay with you? Do you need to have a conversation? Therapy for sure, I recommend once you're getting into this part of it, because I'm sorry, you could be the best parent in the fucking world. Your kid's gonna probably have some kind of trauma.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. It's just gonna happen. So this is not a dog to my parents at all. I have a lot of trauma, and I think it's tied to the generational cycle of needing to be presented a specific way. So,
Yeah.
like the performer, like Colette has always been I don't know why I said it like that. I have always been in customer service roles. Why do you think people put me there? Okay, clearly, right? I can present as an upbeat, happy, I'll do anything for you. And I mean, most of the time that's the case, but a lot of times because I'm introverted, I don't have the energy. It was an awful job for someone like me because it put more pressure on me to be this like happy go lucky person and pretend like I love talking to people and being on the phone with people all day and talking in emails and going to meet. Thinking about that just but it stemmed from childhood because my dad especially was like, say please and thank you, say hello, do this, do that. Like you have to be this like presentation of a perfect child. And I mean, who the fuck wouldn't get fucked up from that?
Yeah.
What I mean?
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that I really started questioning about like the expectations. And that's where my boundaries were. It was like, I had to tell my mom at one point, and my mom's really extroverted. Like she's so extroverted, and I'm the complete opposite. And I was like, Mom, I'm an introvert, right? And she was like, Yeah, I know. And I said, Okay, you need to keep that in mind because no, I don't want to go with you here, there, and everywhere. Yes,
Right.
we can do something, but I'm better one on one with people. So, then she kind of was listening to that more because she got that I had my limit. I have limits, just like you, and everybody else. So it took me a while to really because it's ingrained in there. You think about it. You've lived
Yeah.
with these people for a long time. They're your family. That's where they, like you said, that's your identity. So, it's not going to be a quick, sorry about my birds. It's not going to be a quick transition to, okay, now I can tell my parents, my family that like this is who I am. Like you're not going to be able to do that. It's going to be in steps of like, you know, okay, you can't just come over here. This is my house. Or, like we can't do this anymore because it doesn't work or whatever. You just, when things come up, you start and you get more comfortable because, I think part of the problem, Catherine, and again, we'll see what you think, is that because these are the people, your parents especially, are the people who you looked up to, and they were the boss for how long, right? And then you're going, I got to go tell them that this is how it's going to be now. Like,
Yeah, exactly that. And then you also have to take into consideration, obviously, if you're setting boundaries with them, they did something wrong that like hurt you or bothered you. So not only are you going back to this like I'm gonna say power figure in your life, right? But you're going back to them to say, hey, this hurt me. I need to set this boundary with you to protect myself. And they're gonna be like, what the heck are you talking about? Right? And so, with that being said, just know not everybody gets met with kindness from their parents on that. And depending on whatever level of work they've done themselves, which I don't know, given our family's parents' generation, I'm not convinced it's too much, but um, Lord knows what you're going to meet with that. So, just I would encourage you to do it and with confidence, first of all. But do it when you're able to firmly keep that boundary, no matter what their response is going to be, because ultimately you're doing that to protect yourself and to help you step into the person that you're becoming and that you're supposed to become. Um, and that's not the same person that they think that you're supposed to be. And so there's going to be a misalignment. There's going to be friction. So you need to make sure that you're fully confident in being able to hold that boundary because if you don't, they're going to find any and every way to be like, oh, well, that's ridiculous. Don't do that. And you're going to be like, okay, whatever. And then you're going to have to go through the whole cycle again. So, um, yeah, I don't know if that kind of like picked off what you were saying, but
absolutely no. And yes, I mean, no, absolutely yes. Um, I want to say like to, we should have maybe said this in the beginning. It doesn't matter though. Like, you're not going to experience this all at one time.
no.
Okay. Like, this is, and it's going to take a while. Like, it's not something you have to do by a specific time. It's not something that you have to do, like, consecutively. Like it could be maybe you start questioning your family before you start feeling disconnected from friends. And you know what I mean? Like whatever happens in your healing journey is, or spiritual awakening is going to be different from Catherine or myself or your friend, or like it's just whatever comes for you. But I don't want you to put yourself under any kind of pressure of
Mhm.
like, if you have to go back to your parents like 50 times and say, because you set a boundary, like Catherine's saying, I agree with that statement that you should, you know, be ready to actually set the boundary and not set a boundary before you're ready. I mean, it's probably going to take some getting used to, really, because it's like, again, you've been doing this your whole life. This is how it's
Yeah.
always been, right? So we are a creature of habits, like, or a creature of habit, and we want to do the same thing. We like routine. So those boundaries might um, have to be looked at a couple of times, or you might even change your mind about your boundary. Whatever the case is, there's no wrong way to do this. And um,
Uh,
I'd say sorry, one second, Catherine. I'd say the family piece of it is probably like the hardest.
yeah,
So,
for sure. I would agree on
yeah.
that. I was just gonna say a perfect example of that would be when my dad started found me on Instagram. and he followed me and was sending me messages. I never responded, but I also didn't block him right away because I was like trying to figure out, like, I don't know. Looking back, I don't really know why I didn't just block him immediately because, like, obviously I don't want that part of it, but um I think there for a minute I was just kind of like grappling with what that boundary would look like maybe. I don't know. Um
Yeah, you were because we talked about it.
yeah. But I ultimately kept the boundary and I ended up blocking him. So and that's after all of the work that I've done to heal in that situation. And so to piggyback on what she said, it's okay to question your boundaries. It's okay to hear their side of the story and maybe there's some healing in there and you don't need that boundary. That's okay too. Um and to piggyback again, um, your healing journey isn't going to look the same as somebody else's. There's no right or wrong way to do it, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be in it. So don't feel like you're behind or you should be in a different part of it, or I can't believe I'm going through this lesson again. I can't get it right. Like you're exactly where you should be um in it, no matter like what people say. And spirit will put people in your path to help you understand that as you're going through it. And so wherever you're at in that journey and wherever at whatever point, just know you're exactly where you need to be and you're not like behind or ahead or anything. Like you're just exactly where you need to be on it and you're doing a good job. Like simple as that. So,
Absolutely, 100%. Are we ready to move on to the next topic?
yeah.
Okay. You got anything else to say?
No.
No? Okay. Feeling lonely like no one gets it. I mean, that's like most of my life, so I didn't really feel a difference, with my spiritual awakening because of, I think, the introvertness. So
Yeah.
I can't really speak on this topic. You go right ahead.
So I think for me, um, I really felt that because I was very much shifting from like I went to church, I was like really big in Christianity and like exactly what that was. And I was like the golden child. I wanted to make sure everybody was like happy around me, no matter what cost it was for me. Um, and as I was on my spiritual awakening journey, all of that shifted. Like I suddenly become an energy healer, which I know a lot of people think I'm just worshiping the devil at this point, which I'm not. But I know that that's what a lot of like the people I used to go to church with or some family um believe that I do. And I've got children coming in. Hi,
Okay.
girl.
We love it.
Hi, sweet pea. I do not want you on the camera. Stop. Where did you get that shirt?
What shirt?
Oh, that's her doctor coat. Okay. I love you guys very much. I need you guys to go though. Mm. So I need you guys to go because I'm not quite done yet. Okay?
Why?
Stay right there. Yes, but the longer you're in here and I have to keep telling you to go, the less likely that'll happen. So can you please go so I can finish this?
Okay.
Yeah.
I go downstairs, I won't sleep with you.
If you go downstairs right now, you still will. Okay? Can you shut that door with you, please? I love you.
Um, you, you can scared the way is off. Arnold is here to protect you.
That's Luigi. Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Will you shut that door for me?
Love Luigi.
No, leave the light on. Leave it on. Leave it on. Leave. No, I need it on so they can see me. I'm recording, baby. Leave the light on. I'm serious. Leave the light on.
What?
Great. Turn it back on. Turn the light back on. Thank you. Now go. Okay. I love you. Bye.
Monsters won't be there, but Mario has a knife making
Oh, great.
when he came with them.
Okay. Forget what I was saying.
Um,
Okay.
so you were talking about how, your what you do with an energy healing, how people think that it's like
Okay.
dark and with your, family and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so I just remember like in my spiritual journey just one of my biggest arguments is how am I supposed to take what everybody sees me as? Like, this is the image that I am, right? The personality that I am, and go to somebody and say, just kidding, this is me now, right? Like, for me, it was trying to understand how I'm supposed to take that shift back and convince everybody else that suddenly I can help people through energy healing. Right? Because I don't have like a physical product to give, right? I'm not shuffling cards in front of you to like help you understand what's happening for you, right? Like you just see me like waving my arms around, maybe occasionally touching you and trusting the process, right? Like I don't have, and I'm just like, and I know there's like a lot of people out there that's like, oh, I'm spiritual and I can do this for you, and they're just phonies, right? They like play the image. And I'm like, are people going to think that, especially the people that know me, right? That grew up with me, are they gonna be like, this lady is crazy? Like she's really gone off the deep end because it was so opposite from the way that I grew up and the image that I had created for myself at that point. Um, but I think as I started to like come out of the closet, no, um, and really
I'm
like,
coming home.
yeah, when I started coming out and like being more open about it, I was met with it with a lot of like kindness and understanding. I could definitely tell the difference between the people that truly believed me and the people that were just appeasing me. And they're like, okay, okay, I believe you, right? And that's fine, right? Like I don't need to try to convince somebody. Like I know what I am and I know what I can do. And I know that the clients that I work with know what I do also. Like it's very apparent. And so that identity shift was very interesting. And so it did kind of cause some loneliness just because, and I think some of it might have been like self-created because of the fear of like, what are these people going to think of me? Like, how am I going to do this? Um, but even still after that, like, I know who I can talk to about it and who I can't because again, there's those people that are not quite on board with it yet. Like, they don't understand it or they're kind of they just they don't know. And that's fine, that's okay. But that does definitely create the friction where you're kind of like, I don't know. But then one day, Spirit just sends you somebody that you meet on TikTok Live and you become best friends
I
and
wonder
you
who you're
just
talking
click
about.
and you can talk to them about anything and they just get it. And so while it's lonely in the moment, I promise you, in the most synchronistic way, you will have support and somebody that understands sent to you.
100% agree.
They might
Absolutely.
they might not live in the same state, but they will be
I
in your life.
know. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, don't worry. There's tarot readers and psychics that are bullshit too.
Yeah.
So you're
Oh,
not
I know.
alone. And I mean, just because I have cards in front of me, oh God, are you still there?
Yes.
I'm sorry, my phone's at 20%, so I have to. But yeah, even though I have cards in front of me, doesn't mean that people believe me either. It doesn't matter what you're doing, people are going to question it. So that's
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Okay, last question or last thing. Confusion between intuition and ego. That's a
I
good
would
one.
say that was probably like when I started my mentorship and stuff with the first person, and I was trying to like figure all that out. That was my biggest frustration because I'm like, people make it look so easy, right? Like there's people that are like, oh, I see this and I see this or I heard this. And I'm like, what the are you hearing and seeing? Like, I don't understand. So you very much have to learn your own gifts, But then you also, like, as time goes on and you work on it, you really start to hear the difference between your intuition and what's you. Like, and I don't know really how to explain it other than like there's like a level of certainty and peace in what your intuition is saying to you versus your ego trying to figure it out or trying to be hopeful or is nervous about something or trying to convince you. Like there's a certainty and peace in what your intuition is saying versus what the ego is saying. And I think that's what really helped me identify the two, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you don't have to, and I know Catherine didn't mean this, but I want to say it for the people who are like, oh, what do I got to do? You don't have to like tap into anything
No,
for intuition. It's just there. Like
no,
if you want to tap into the gifts you have, totally cool. But intuition is just like you're knowing, like you're
yeah,
like, you explained it beautifully, but it's like, okay. I feel like I've got to, maybe you plan to go to the gas station first before you went to the grocery store. And then all of a sudden you're like, maybe I should go to the grocery store first. Always listen to that. Like there's a reason you're thinking that. That's kind of like an example of like your intuition there. And the reason why we say intuition and ego is because, Catherine and I were talking about because anxiety is part of ego, fear is part of ego. But, with the spiritual journey or awakening aspect of it, we were saying how we both were like, okay, but how do you know which is which? Now, for me, I'm a very anxious person. So I would get caught up in thinking my intuition was the anxiety and fear. So not to say that if you're like questioning something a lot, that it doesn't mean that it's true, right? That it's not your intuition. But if you're feeling like, you know, super anxious, like if you think about the thing and you're like, is this what I'm supposed to do or not supposed to do? And all of a sudden you're feeling the anxiety and like the sick stomach and like you're feeling those kind of things. That is not your intuition.
mm-mm.
That is your ego. Okay. But if you're like, man, maybe I really need to do this, but you don't want to do it, and then you're like not feeling any of those things, that's your intuition. Like if you've made peace with it, like Catherine said, that's your intuition, not your ego.
Yes. There's also the factor of, so like your body's going to feel it before you understand it, I'm gonna
Mhm.
say. And for example, if you're trying, I'm gonna use when I was interviewing for a job after I got fired. Um, I literally was anxiety ridden. I was having panic attacks before this interview. And it was simply because my body was like, hello, you're not aligned. And so it wasn't my ego saying, what is going to happen? What if I don't get this job? It was more my intuition and my body saying, absolutely not. This is not for you. Do not do it. Do not do it. And so your intuition is going to be like a knowledge thing, like you're gonna know, and it's gonna be like she said, like you'll find peace in it or it'll be anxiety ridden. But then there's also the feelings that you get in your body, and your body's gonna tell you um if it's like aligned or not. And so you'll very much feel it. And if you're anxious about it or you're depressed, it's likely not going to be aligned for you. And that's your intuition in your body trying to tell you like hard stop. So,
Absolutely. Well said. Yeah, your body knows too. And
yeah.
that's kind of what I was saying with the anxiousness. I mean, you know what anxiety feels like,
Yeah.
right? And you were having panic attacks. Now that's a different scenario. I'm glad you brought that up. Because then it was like a realization, hey, your body, your intuition is trying to tell you this is not for you. Like you feel sick because of it. Okay. So like if you're in a scenario, let's say you're dating somebody and when you're around them, you have to fit, you physically feel yourself like, kind of scrunching up here, getting tense, or, maybe you get a nervous tick, or maybe you're, all of a sudden you've got anxiety around that. Like it happens when you're around them. That's your intuition saying, I'm uncomfortable. Like I'm uncomfortable around this person, like a friend or family member. Like if you think that actually a good example is thinking back to when you're younger, because for me, I had now I was shy, right? I said I was introverted. I only talked to a couple people, but there was this one uncle that I did not feel comfortable around. And I didn't like him. I didn't like him. I didn't want to be around him. He was loud, but there was something about how I felt that I was like, I don't want to be around him. And he does not like children. Like looking back, I knew that that was something as a child that I knew. Always trust your gut. And then just one more example. So one of my uncles, um, I never felt like comfortable around him either. And one day he was trying to get me to go on a motorcycle with him. And I was young. I was probably like 11 or 12. Like I was a kid, right? And I'm like, no, my parents won't be okay with this. And I really didn't want to go anyway. But it wasn't just about the bike ride, right? It was like, I'm not going with you. Who knows what would have happened that day? And my mom told me some things about him that later on that I was like, well, and I was 11 or 12. It wasn't like I was five, like I was before. When you're a kid, you don't have these things in the way. Like your mind, your ego is going to tell you what's the worst case scenario. Let's think about it. And that's
Yeah.
when you're going to get anxious and you're going to say, oh, this is my intuition. No, the fuck it's not.
Yeah, so I guess that's a good point. So I guess when you're trying to figure out if your anxiety is ego driven or your body screaming like don't do this, you really need to stop and say, okay, what am I anxious about? Where am I feeling this anxiety, right? Am I feeling it in my chest? Am I feeling it in my stomach? Am I lightheaded because of it? Because those are going to be things that you need to figure out like where that anxiety is stemming from. If it's and that'll help you determine if it's like intuition driven or if it's ego driven. Because I guess it could be hard to tell. Um, but that kind of goes into like what we were talking about earlier. And sometimes you just need to get a second opinion, right? Like you need that friend to be able to bounce ideas off of because you're so wrapped up trying to figure it out for yourself. Sometimes the lines get blurred, right? Like sometimes it's hard to tell, am I making the right decision for myself? Like, is this truly an intuitive, like aligned decision, or is it my anxiety talking, right? And typically you're going to be right, like because you'll get good enough with your intuition, like you'll know. But sometimes you just need that reassurance from a friend and you can talk it out, and that's okay too. Colette and I do it to each other all the time. So,
She's
um,
calling me out because we were literally just doing this before the podcast. I'm dead.
sometimes it just needs to be, hey, I think I know the answer. I just need to know I'm not crazy.
Yes. Yeah, that is totally a thing. And it's totally okay to do that with your friends because,
Yeah.
it's okay. We're not saying ego is bad. Ego
No.
is not bad. You need your ego
Yes.
100%. But what we're trying to say is that we're trying to differentiate because a lot of times people don't know what their intuition looks like. And it's something that even if we explain it to you, you're just going to have to kind of sit with those things and you'll start to know the difference yourself.
Yeah. Your
So
ego's not bad. It's just protecting you from what it doesn't know. So your ego knows who you are. It's like all the logical things that you've built yourself upon, right? And so when you start to change those things, your ego starts to be like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. That's not right. That's not what we know. That's not what we were taught. That's not who we are. Like, and that's why people think like the ego is bad. It's not bad. It's just it's a form of protecting who you think that you're supposed to be, but you're becoming somebody else kind of thing.
absolutely. Well said.
So
Well, do you have anything else to add?
I don't
Or
think so. I think that was pretty thorough.
yeah, I think we did a really good job explaining those things.
Yeah.
And you did a really good job on feeling lonely.
Yay. Fuck I
Yeah,
doing
no problem.
Well, we kind of like talked about a lot, guys. And so if you have any questions or you need clarification on anything that we talked about, or maybe we might have confused you a little bit, feel free to like drop in the comments. We would love to talk about it more. We very much don't want you to be confused. So no question is a stupid question. So please just talk to us. We can be that friend that you can bounce ideas off of if you don't have that quite yet. So yeah, let us.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And you can catch us every Monday, right, on Spotify or YouTube, which is pretty great. We love
Yay!
it. Yay! All right, Catherine, you have a good one. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, you too. See ya.
All right, bye.
Bye.